Welcome everyone to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. I'm your host, Michael Vega. So glad you could join us here on the dais. Today we are going to celebrate another champion from Milton. And this time it's the singular sensation that is Mason Pellegrini, senior wrestler, 3-time champion at Milton High in 3 different weight classes. Let that marinate for a second. This young man has won championship after championship after championship, reconfiguring himself every year to compete in 3 different weight classes. And so he's to be congratulated and commended. And, with all the champions here in Milton, I would submit to you that of the pantheon of champions, this young man deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore right there. And so Mason Pellegrini, thank you for joining us, along with your coach, Ted Carroll. Ted, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
And absolutely, and he's rocking this beautiful Letterman's jacket. Unbelievable. Yeah, man, that's awesome stuff. But on it is the fruits of his labors that this young man has earned, well deserved. And just last week, he became the first wrestler in Milton history to capture an all-states title. Now as a top seed, going to the New Englands in Providence this weekend. So we want to root for Mason. If you can get down there, where can they come see you at?
The Rhode Island Convention Center.
Wow, it's going to be unbelievable. All-state competition. He'll be the top seed going into that wrestling competition. And if you emerge victorious, what's next?
Nationals.
And where will that be?
Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach. Will you have time to recover, or is it going to be right after?
I think we had a week off in between.
Week off, good. And what will you do with yourself in that week off? Sleep?
Eat, sleep, and wrestle.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it's all about. And Ted, you must be incredibly proud of Mason and what he has meant here to this program. And maybe we can start by kind of trying to put into context the special nature of what he achieved here in Milton.
Sure, yeah. Proud and very lucky to have a kid like Mason on the wrestling team. Yeah. He's a 3-time Division II state champ. He is the first all-state champ in Milton High history, the winningest wrestler in Milton High history, and he did this all despite he missed his freshman year because of COVID. I think we wrestled, how many times? We wrestled 4 times, 4 matches freshman year. Freshman year was one of those wonkety seasons where the season started. It was actually like a spring season. We had wrestling season, I think, in like May. It was a month long. We only had a few matches. So, to be the all-time winningest wrestler in Milton High history and miss a season is pretty impressive.
And what's the record at now?
At 140-11.
Yeah, something like that.
Career record. This season 45-0, right?
Yep.
45-0 on the season, yeah.
140-11, 45-0.
45-0.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
When you go into a match, Mason, at the start of the season, is that something that weighs upon you, or is it something that you've set as a goal? And I mean, for this year, it was going in at 215. It was a different animal altogether for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a goal from the beginning of the season. My freshman year, I found out Coach Smith has all the old records for everyone.
Yeah.
So when I found out we had that list of most wins, I wanted to set it from day one.
Wow.
Yeah. But for each individual match, it's something you try not to think about. Try and just focus on the match and what the kid's going to do.
Yeah. And sizing up your opponent and what you need to do to win. That's all you can do. But now we're allowed a little period of reflection in looking back at the start of your journey when you started at 170 and won that first championship. What was that like for you when you first accomplished that?
Very exciting. Long time ago, but yeah. It's just great feeling, put a lot of hard work into it. So just to see it pay off, a lot of fun.
And then at the end of that, you decided to go up in weight class. And let me tell you, I was able, I had the great privilege of covering that, championship run for you at the end. It took place at Milton High, which was another great thing to have it happen there and win the first one that will go back to back since Joe Satir. What do you pronounce?
Sadati, I believe. Yeah. 1964.
Sadati.
Joe Sadati
Yeah.
won back-to-back 63 and 64.
Yeah.
The last state champ was Clinton Graham in 97,
Yes.
I believe. Clinton still
99,
lives.
99.
99. Clinton
At
still,
171.
still lives in Milton. Shout out to Clinton. And so it had been, 24 years since they had, or 21 years, something like that, since when Mason won states 2 years ago.
Well, and you shared the story about going into Copeland Fieldhouse and seeing that banner with his name on it, and every day you saw that name, and somehow you decided, I want to reach out to him before, just to talk to him. And what was it that you learned? What was it that you wanted to know from Mr. Sadati when you spoke to him?
I just wanted to know what wrestling was like back when he did it, because he was talking about it was very different. He was talking about how the brackets were set up and it was smaller, what the team was like back then. It was just a really cool experience to get to talk to him and see what it was like when he wrestled, and then compared to what it's like now. Yeah,
and I mean it's the popularity of the sport's proliferated. I think it's become pretty big. And Ted, you could speak to this too about having someone like Mason on the program, a guy who's a standard bearer for your program. Has that had a ripple effect in terms of getting more people interested in it? Yeah, it has. It really. I mean, Massachusetts wrestling in general has been leaps and bounds. And I've been the coach for 17 years, and it's really the quality of wrestling has gotten much, much better. More and more kids now are going Division I out of Massachusetts. Programs have gotten bigger. Programs have gotten really, really strong. More Massachusetts kids are placing at things like nationals now than ever before. So it's harder and harder to win a state championship. And just in Milton, it's grown. We have a K through 5 program, and we also have a middle school program. So, all total, we probably will have 100 kids or so in Milton alone that are wrestling now. And this year was the inaugural season for girls to have a state championship. Yep, their own state championship this year, Yeah, very exciting. And that's just, another example of how the sport is growing exponentially. Yeah. Tangentially, college programs now, there's a lot of girl college programs, so girls wrestling is taking off. Are you seeing any interest among girls here at Milton? I didn't have a girl at the high school team this year, but I've had them in the past. I welcome. We have lots of girls in the youth program. So that's awesome. So there could be a Milton High for hopefully state champ. Yeah. And I mean, just the Mason Pellegrini impact on the program. Yeah. I mean, to have him as, like I said, as your standard bearer, the guy who sets the tone, who sets the example, who shows what it takes to work hard and succeed at this sport. Yeah, it's gonna this is huge for Milton wrestling in general. For Massachusetts wrestling, have a kid like Mason and South Shore wrestling. At All-State, there was no wrestler from Boston South that won All-State except for Mason. Yeah. The North Shore is a little bit tougher wrestling up there, and Mason was the one that kind of shone through. So for the kids of Milton now to look up to Mason and see Mason's name up there, it's awesome. It's awesome. Mason, how do you bear the responsibility of that? And what would you like to do to try and pay this forward? In terms of helping build the program. Yeah, I try and get to the youth program whenever I can. Monday nights after practice, I stick around to help out and coach. And it's really cool when I walk in and all the little kids know who I am. Just great feeling. They're all coming up high-fiving. Yeah, man. But yeah, just trying to help out whenever I can and just give back. Do you see, does part of you recognize the talent? Because, as they say, game recognizes game. Mm-hmm. Do you see any up-and-comers, There are a few of them that I think are going to do pretty well. Yeah. And it's a valuable thing to have, someone such as yourself go up to that kid, put your arm around him, and say, hey, you got something. Keep working, Yeah. Right? Mason is so good to go, I asked my whole team to help out on Monday nights, and a few kids help. Mason is so good about volunteering his time and helping out like that. I said at senior night, and I'll say here now on TV, the most impressive thing about Mason is Mason as a person. It's not just, you can be a state champ and not be a great kid.
Mason is the opposite of that. Mason is such a good kid, respectful, kind, when he wants to be, and he has a little bit of edge on the wrestling match, which is great.
Yeah.
But to his teammates, he is exceptional. From a coaching standpoint, exceptional. You know, he rolls the mats out, he washes the mats, he's early, he stays late. And not all captains and not all star wrestlers are like that. So great example to the kids, the upcoming freshmen and sophomores, to look at Mason as a role model, and he just really a better kid than he is a wrestler.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So tell me, Mason, in this journey that you started, at any point did you feel like, well, I want to experiment. I want to go try something different. Maybe I'll try playing basketball, or I might go be on the rugby team.
Basketball, Mason? You trying to think about
baseball? I don't know.
Hockey?
At any point, did you have a dalliance with another sport?
When I was younger, I tried all the basketball, soccer, baseball. My sisters are huge into soccer, so I played that for a little bit, but I just never loved it. And then around 6 maybe, I went to a jiu-jitsu class and I fell in love with that. And then wrestling was the high school version, so I started that a year later and just loved it ever since.
Yeah. And wanted to get better and better at it.
Yep.
Yeah. I maintain, and I told Ted, I said, you would have been an awesome rush end on the Milton High football team this year. You would have dominated. I think. And then on the rugby team, you would have killed,
Yeah.
But any of the football players come and say, hey, Mason, you got to come out for football, man. And
they've tried a few times. I played football my sophomore year, and I didn't completely love it. And because of practice times, I couldn't go to wrestling practice.
Sure.
So I just kind of chose wrestling over that.
Well, there you go. Wise choice on your part. And that's the thing. I mean, sometimes when you're devoted to a sport like you are, you want to devote your entire self to it. And it's clear that you have, in terms of what you've accomplished and in the way you've had to reconfigure yourself every year. What was the hardest part of going from 170 to 182 to 215 for you?
It's different kids every year.
Yeah.
So, you don't get the benefit of, I wrestled that guy last year, so I know what he does.
Right.
But they also wrestle differently. 170 was a lot faster and more technical, whereas the 215 guys are a lot bigger, so they do a lot more muscle moves. So it's different strategy for every match.
Yeah.
So just something to adapt to every year.
Yeah, and I mean that's a very good point. I mean,
fairly typical for a high school kid. High school kids are grown kids, right?
Yeah.
For them to move up a weight class as their high school career progresses. But I remember talking to Mason, late summer, early fall, and there's a weight class 190. Or obviously the 215, there's kind of a big gap in between those weight classes. And he said, I think I'm going to go 215. And, he only weighs around 200 pounds. And, his thought was that some of those bigger kids, he's such a good wrestler. He has plenty of strength to take them on, but he'd just be able to out-wrestle a lot of those bigger kids. And
using speed,
using the speed and technical ability.
Yeah.
And it was, I fully supported it. And like I said, Mason weighs in at most matches at 205 pounds, 200 pounds, so he's a little underweight for the 215 weight class, but they can't wrestle with him.
So you don't have to worry about making weight or doing that or being above it, right?
It was a smart decision that he made to wrestle up at 215. I mean, he probably would have won at 192, but it was a good decision.
Yeah. At 182, though, was that a division that was as tough as any in terms of, because you got kids who are probably technically sound, who are just as fast and just as strong.
Yeah. You got to mix it everyone. So that was a good one. That was a fun division.
Yeah.
170 was tough. I mean, there's no easy weight class.
Yeah.
No easy weight class. From 106 to heavyweight, there's no easy weight class. So you're always going to run into, especially when you start to get to the state tournament and the all-state tournament, there's just monsters at every weight class. So the pool is a little thicker, those middle weight classes, the 150s and 165s, but there's no easy path when you get to this.
Well, tell us about your path to the All-States, the journey that took you there, and 45-0, and you get to All-States now, and you're wrestling at 215 as a top seed. Did you feel like, okay, now the target's on my back here? What did that feel like for you?
Yeah, target's been on my back at all of these. Just walking in as the number 1 seed, but kind of makes it more fun because every match gets to be a battle. All states, I mean, obviously as you go on, the kids get better, so it's a lot tougher. I wrestled a lot longer than I did at the other two, at that one. So just better matches, more fun matches, just good kids.
How were you challenged in that division?
All states is probably when I had my biggest challenges, just because I had a lot more matches that went the full 6 minutes. So one is just not having had many of those this year. So it's just a different experience. You're a bit more tired going to your next one. And all these kids are very good at this point.
Yeah.
But it makes it more fun.
And you're going up against guys you don't ordinarily see.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
You probably haven't seen it all year because of your schedule the way it is.
Yeah, I've seen, I think 3 of the 4 kids at All States I'd wrestled before, but it was like the finals of different tournaments throughout the year. So they're all very accomplished wrestlers going into it.
Did you ever develop any kind of rivalry with any guy at 182? And did he follow you to 215 or?
170, I probably had my biggest rival, which was William Conniff from King Philip.
Okay.
I wrestled him 4 times that year.
4 times.
Yeah.
Broke his heart every time. Beat him 4 times.
Wow.
Poor kid.
So when you moved up to 182, he was glad to see you go?
Yeah, that was his senior year. So.
Yeah. Crushed him.
Oh, boy.
I saw the coach at Allstate, and he had wrestled 4 times at this point, and I just shook his hand, and I said, "Wow, I can't believe they wrestled again." He said, "It's been a lot more fun for you than it has for me."
Oh yeah, absolutely, and for Mason too.
Yeah.
But did you develop any kind of rivalry with that when you moved up into 182, or was that the one guy?
I don't think I had anyone in 182 that I wrestled
As much?
as many times. No.
Did you see him a lot in the in finals of matches of events?
All these kids know, even going into the season, the top kids know each other, and they know what they try to start to figure out early in the season what weight class these kids are going in. So the rivalries come from just like the name and we started looking early in the season, back in early December, like, okay, who's going to be at 215? You start looking at tournament results and match results, and so we know, the top 5 or 6 kids that we're going to potentially give Mason a problem. So the wrestler that he beat in the All-State Finals, Mason also, he won a tournament early in the year called the Lowell Holiday Tournament. There's 80 teams. Milton High had never had a Milton Holiday champ.
Yeah, that's another accomplishment there.
Yeah, it was amazing. That was a lot of fun. 2 days, 2 long days. But the wrestler that he wrestled in the finals was Jamil Vasquez from Hamden, right? Yeah. Mason beat him, and that was also the All-State. So they,
Now, will he be eligible for New England's as a runner-up at the?
The top 6 at All-State go to New England. So
you're likely to see him again?
Could.
Yes.
Could.
Wow.
They're on different sides of the bracket. The brackets are out, but if they both make the finals, and it very well could be.
So how many matches to get to? You got to wrestle 4 times?
I think it's 5 because I think it's a 32-man bracket. Oh, you have a bye. So
I have a bye for
So
sure.
4. So 4 in order to get to the final.
Correct.
So it'll be 5 total if you stand on top of the podium.
4. Mason has a bye in the first round.
Right.
So it'll be 4. 4.
4. Yeah. Okay. So that'll be good for you then.
Yeah.
It's nice to be the top seed.
It is nice to be the top seed. It is.
So I understand you have some traditions. Are you superstitious about these things? The matches.
I think I'm more superstitious than I think Mason is probably.
Tell me what do you got going there, Ted?
Well, for one, we start at the tournament. This is a long. I will say this too about the grind of the postseason wrestling is survival of the fittest, mentally and physically toughest. After this started a month ago. It seems so long ago already. Sectionals were. You go to sectionals first, top 4 at sectionals, go on to states. States is a 2-day tournament. And these are long, long days, 8 in the morning. You're getting there till
past dinner time. Yeah.
well past dinner time. States, 2-day tournament, and then top 6 at state, go on to all state. That was another 2-day tournament, two really long days. So we usually start the tournaments off by going to Newcomb Farms, which we'll go this Friday.
Beautiful
tradition.
thing.
We've been doing that for 3 years now. So
So what's your favorite there? The skillet?
I either get the skillet banquet or the steak and eggs.
Nice. Crushes it, I bet, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to keep my girlish figure here, I can't crush food like that.
I also will wear the same thing on the 2-day tournament. I'll wear the same thing Friday, and I'll wear the same thing Saturday.
Do you really?
Yeah. I get a little superstitious about
Wow, well, that's worked
certain
out.
things. Yeah, I'm sure, Mason, you have superstitions?
I think more just creature of habit.
Well, you bagel thing. You bagel.
So before every match, since I was little, I'll have a bagel with cream cheese from Dunkin' and an apple juice.
There you go.
And then my team started messing with me because before I wrestle, I wipe off my shoes to get like any dust or stuff off, so it sticks. So they've started going out there and like copying me and like pointing at me before the match. Yeah.
And are they having their bagel too?
Some of them have started.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. And so, have you studied who you might be facing?
Yes, that's what this whole week leading up to each of these tournaments is for.
Yeah.
Just looking up who's in my bracket. So which kids do I have the winner of, and then who's on my half that I could see on that first day or stuff like that.
And the beautiful thing is that, in this day and age that we live in, there's video of everybody out there.
Yeah, we have video. Coach Smith, shout out to Coach Smith. He makes videos of, he's already sent out an Excel spreadsheet, and you click on the wrestler and you can see videos of Mason's potential matches. We won't know the first match because Mason will have the winner of a match. It'll be a kid from Tewksbury or New Hampshire, I think. So yeah, we'll watch those matches. We'll watch all his potential wrestlers. We know, there's I think there's 28 kids in each bracket. We know probably 12 of them. I mean, we know quite a few of them, even the out-of-state kids. But
so that's been part of the challenge of winning at 215 this year, is that you had to familiarize yourself with a whole new group of guys.
Yep.
The dossier of information you accumulated at 182 no longer applies, right?
Yeah. It's all different kids. I know like 1 or 2 of them going into it just from off-season tournaments or stuff like that. But yeah, most of them were all new faces, new names.
But they all know you.
Yes.
they all know. That's true.
The thing. That's the beauty of being the top seed and being the man,
They do.
Yeah. But is there do you sense an intimidation factor when you get into the ring with these guys, and you get ready to go toe-to-toe?
Yeah, there's a bit of one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I sense it from Mason. You mean, they're extremely intimidated by Mason,
Yeah. Because you come with the pedigree, of having won, having been a champion, having beaten a lot of people at 45-0, and you carry that record in. So that must be, I guess, another, part of your arsenal, right?
Yeah.
It has to be. But that's awesome. And, well, it's a great honor and pleasure to have you here, and we're not going to let you go without rocking this thing. You got to look at this. This is unbelievable. This is it's got his name on it. And tell us about these patches on there real quick.
So these are all the different clubs I go to. So Milton High, American Grit MMA is where I mostly wrestle out of now.
Yeah.
That's owned by my dad and Brian Conrad, who's been my coach since I was little.
Wow.
And then CBC is more or less the predecessor to this.
Okay.
It used to be in the Raynham Dog Track, and then that got shut down.
Okay.
And then South Shore Sports Fighting is where I do jiu-jitsu. So
Nice.
I'm saying I started with this and then got into wrestling. That's
so,
where I started.
so there it is right there, the progression of your career on your sleeve.
Yep.
Unbelievable. And on the other side?
On the other side, I have my weight classes. You can see it. So I started at 170 in my freshman, sophomore year, and then 82 junior year, 215 senior.
You just added that, this year. And then you got the
And then
champions. So you need to put one more on there.
Yeah, it hasn't come in yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
See, so he comes walking into the gym wearing that thing. I'm immediately intimidated.
Yeah, right.
But I'm envious too. It's a sweet jacket. But wear it well, my friend.
Yeah.
And all the best.
New England's this weekend. Hopefully we come out of there with a New England champ.
And we almost were remiss in mentioning that, Mason will be Harvard bound.
Yes.
And wrestling.
There's that too.
Yeah, there's that too. Unbelievable. Well, congratulations on that as well, Mason. Well done. All righty, everybody. Well, we thank you. We want you to make sure you think about Mason this weekend. He's going to be wrestling for a New England title, and we all want to wish him the best. And Coach Carroll, wish them the best in the the growth of the program. And cannot go wrong with a standard bearer like Mason Pellegri. All righty, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us on Stepping Up to the Plate. We look forward to having you here next time. All righty, take care.